Yeah, hey everybody, this is Ian from Mindful Marketplace, and welcome back to Serve at Scale. This is actually a short video walkthrough of a PDF and the private podcast part of our community, where we try to answer the question, what can you borrow to build? What can you leverage to launch? What allows you to 10x your output, your impact, your audience, and ultimately your income on a bootstrap budget. So I'm just going to give you a really quick walkthrough of a PDF that's in our community. You can download this below. Essentially, we're just looking at some updated ideas for April of 2021 relative to monetizing a authority site or web directory or marketplace or a niche community, which is pretty much what we're building now in 2021, just niche communities, not so much web directories and things like that. But I know many of you still are, and all of these definitely apply if you're trying to make money from that approach. All right, so number one, I've covered this before, but income and assets. This is the number one shortcut or simple mental model that I try to keep in mind when building these sorts of communities. You need to have a short term income generation plan, and you need to ultimately be building an asset that has real value. And if you're not doing both of those things simultaneously in some way, you're going to end up not getting as much out of your project and platform as you would otherwise. So, income, and I cover some of this below, there are many ways of generating income, obviously, when you're building one of these sorts of sites, but it's not generally, to my mind, what most people are trying to. In other words, the focus that most people bring to bear on these sorts of projects is selling featured listings and that sort of priority of placement on a platform like search priority, or giving folks, higher visibility and all that sort of stuff. That's not really the right approach, and I cover, at least I don't think it is. I know many people disagree with that, but the folks who disagree generally are not making money from that approach. They're just theorizing that that's the right approach for them, and it usually turns out to be a fiction that is vulnerable to real life experience. Assets, obviously, if you build something the right way, you're going to have an asset that long term is like a piece of real estate. You can sell it. You can, there's a ton of flexibility financially you have with something that you can sell, even if it's just a good domain name with a community built or tethered to it, right? Whether that's a directory or a niche community that's built on some other sort of software. There's almost always value for something like that to somebody in the world if you put in the time to actually build it. And again, I don't want to get too far afield with this sort of metaphor, but it's like virtual real estate. I mean, if you build something on a piece of land in the real world, even if it's in the wrong neighborhood or not it's in, it doesn't work out as well as you envision from the standpoint of the value of the location or all those sorts of gambles that we would make with real estate, it's worth something to somebody. Like, somebody is going to want your house at some point if you build it, right? It just may not be, it may surprise you that it's worth a lot more than you thought. And it also may be worth less, but it's worth something to somebody. And it's just a question of keep on repeating this process until you have a portfolio of assets that makes you quite financially successful. All right, so recurring income, selling featured listings, priority placement, blah, blah, blah. I've covered this. I've also covered why I'm not a huge fan of this model. And the reason is my own experience tells me that it's a lot of pressure, and it's a very what have you done for me lately sort of experience with the folks who pay. I've spent a lot of my early years doing this sort of work, trying to convince people who I convinced to pay for a listing to pay for a listing the next month, right? And and if you're not generating a lot of traffic for them, which most news sites won't, you're going to lose, you're going to atrophy, you're going to bleed members, and you're constantly chasing your tail, and it's just not worth the initial, whatever that initial cash acquisition that you get from the first month. What I do recommend, if you use this model, is sell annual listings, sell 12-month listings, not monthly listings. So if it's $50 a month, make it $200 for the year, give them a lot of stuff, and then you'll have far less pressure on you, and you'll have the ability to let the platform grow organically and naturally, and people won't be like on your rear end saying, I'm not getting enough members after 20 days, so I'm going to cancel my month 2 membership. All right, assets, I've covered this above. This is the long-term view. It assumes that you're building the site with a virtual real estate sort of emulation model, and if you do the right things, like if you add content the right way, ultimately you're going to rank well in your niche. You're going to rank well for the people in your niche, the people in your industry, the people in your geographical area, and ultimately you'll have an asset that will pay you a healthy multiple for the time invested in building the platform. All right, number 4, flipping sites. This is a great way of building micro directories and local communities. It's ideal if you have a local domain name and can quickly and easily build something that you can sell to folks who are competitive in that space. So, for an example, if you have Best Pizza NYC, Best Pizza Chicago, Best Top Pizza New Jersey, something cheesy like that, no pun intended. That was very unintended with the pizza and the cheese. But, if you have something like that, somebody is going to buy that. Some Joe's Pizza, Jane's Pizza, John's Pizza is going to be interested in buying that Best Pizza in New York City, right? Because it's, if it's $1,000 to them, if they're paying you $1,000 or $3,000 or whatever, but you have a site that gets traffic and they can use it to position themselves as the number one choice. It's just a no-brainer sort of approach. It's not necessarily the most sexiest work or the most virtuous work or the most high visionary work. Like it's not what I want to be doing with my life, is creating Best Pizza XYZ town and then flipping those sites. But if you need to quickly develop assets and income, it's a great way of doing this. You can also, and this is really, really important, you can also offer to manage the site for them, right? Giving you the opportunity to get really good multiples on the current value. So in other words, you could say to Joe from Joe's Pizza, hey, here's Best Pizza NYC, and it's $500 a month, but we'll position you as number one, and we'll continue to build out your brand and recommend you on this site. But we're not charging you for the year, or let me restate that. We're not selling the site to you, but we will sort of rent it to you, or we'll manage it for you. You can lease purchase the site. This gives you a lot of flexibility down the road. If Joe decides after paying $500 a year, Joe's Pizza, that it's no longer worth it to him, you still own the site, and you can approach Jane's Pizza in year 2, and the site just continues to rank better, to get more traffic, to get more Google trust, all that sort of stuff. Appreciates over time. It accumulates trust and value and traffic and traction and all those things that matter to us as online entrepreneurs. All right, so it gives you a lot of power in the sense that, not power in a in an oppressive way, but power in a valuable way as an entrepreneur. Because if someone by managing a site like that, you can actually, you can take it away from somebody who doesn't want it anymore, or, doesn't want to pay anymore, and you can bring it and you can give it to somebody else where you're managing for them. And now Best Pizza NYC, in this very hypothetical example, is now Jane's, recommending Jane as the number one choice, not Joe. All right, I probably said that in a little bit too much of a verbose way, but hopefully you get it. This is number 5, the appearance of authority in a niche, vertical, or industry. This is quite simple. And this is the very, very beginning of what appealed to me about this whole model. And this is sort of my own kind of unique approach to this. But if you own X, which is the asset, the authority site, the directory of the niche community, it gives you the appearance of being the go-to guru, the expert or authority in your niche. It's it's also the approach that we use for our mindful marketplace platform products. I don't make much money from actually the listings themselves on any of the, the portfolio of sites on our platform, right? With the coaching, with the course community, which is the largest part of our community now. Now we have a ghost community, we have a circle community. My whole goal is simply to look like an expert, right? That's all I care about. I want to be able to approach people who know nothing about online marketing and say, hey, work with us. We'd love to help you build your brand in 2021. Here are some of the things and some of the ways that we can promote you on our platform. So if you create a course with me, here is how I can promote your course to our captive audience, to our community of clients, of readers, of subscribers, etc., etc. I mean, it's a very, very persuasive model, especially when other people don't have the authority set, right? So you can have two people approaching the same person and making the identical offer. Which one do you think the prospective client is going to hire? The person who has the platform that is most well aligned with their audience, right? So that's the whole sort of, underlying ethos to my approach is to build things that even if they're not making money by themselves, that they appear to give me the sheen and the appearance of expertise, of authority, of being of demonstrating something that we actually built in the world so they can see that this is what our work looks like, right? Today, just today, on the 2nd of April 2021, I just posted something on one of our Twitter accounts for a new project where we're giving away a ghost blog, for an example, in April. And, all I did was, like, I did a screen share of what this will look like, right? So you're actually walking through what a project or a platform or something or a portfolio that you've created looks like, and people can see that, and it really reduces friction. It reduces skepticism. It reduces the prove it to me sort of mentality that everyone has. So it's the same approach here. You want to show people what it is that you've built and why that should be evidence of not only your success, but why they'd want to work with you as well. All right, and this dovetails really, kind of directly with the previous point, which is to sell your own services, an online agency model to the, you sell services to the people in a niche locality or industry. That's all I care about, right? You want to build a platform that gives you the appearance of authority or expertise, and then sell back end, high end services that give you an unfair advantage over folks who don't have the authority site and asset. You can also use your site to offer your audience, in this scenario, premium placement or positioning as your client, right? And again, this is really all of a piece that I'm covering above. If you have bestdentalinyourcity.com, you could offer your premium clients. You're developing web, presence for, branding for. You could also say to that client, and by the way, not only will we build you the website, we'll build you the email marketing campaign, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do all these things, your SEO. We'll also give you a premium listing on our Best Dental, NYC, Best Dental New Jersey, Best Dental LA, whatever it may be, as a way of encouraging them, enticing them, and getting them really enthusiastic about what it is that you offer. All right. And the last thing, of course, is affiliate marketing. I mean, I've covered this in a zillion different ways and said it in many different ways, but it's the easiest way to start, right? When you're starting one of these things, one of these communities, build relationships with other people that you can promote their offers. It's the first thing I always do every single time when I start something new is I look for affiliate opportunities, because it's the absolute easiest way when you're offering to either sell other people's stuff or you're giving your own stuff to people to sell. There are just a bevy of benefits to that particular approach that you won't get in other places and spaces. If you're part of our community, I have, I think, like 5 or 7 different affiliate marketing buckets that are each very individual silos of strategies that you can read through that are all very effective, and they all serve a very specific function in your community, and they're all really, really, it's a great way of creating an income while you're building an asset. All right, so that's pretty much it. This is just some updated thoughts on this whole model. In April of 2021, you can download this at the link below, along with plenty of other PDFs, worksheets, walkthroughs, and all that good stuff. Okay, teach what you know, do what you love, wake up the world with your work. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time.